can we just figure out some science of being agile? Now, what would be something that's significantly telling us this firm or this company is really prepared for any eventualities? So, are there any recognizable signs that would tell us yes, and so that we can also relate with that?
I think,
quick round, please.
I would say talent management, succession planning. These are the core. I mean, they prepare the organization for the short term and the long term both. Yeah, your attrition that reflects very strongly. So yeah, the few parameters, whether you have DEI in your system. So all these parameters will help you in defining whether you're ready for the future.
To that, I will add risk management. Extremely important governance and risk management. Yeah, that is like and monitoring. So that these would be really important. And yeah, the inclusion, yes, I mean, that's very important, diversity and inclusion.
Look, I would say the most tangible way to judge a company beyond all the talk is where you spend your money. So the most important metric is capital allocation, because everything else is storytelling, talk, this and that. Where are you spending your money? So if a company says they're agile, I want to know what percentage of the revenue is being spent on chasing newer ideas, engine 2, horizon 2, beyond the core business. If that is weak, right? If you're just sort of trying to ring fence your cash cows of today and not grooming the next set of engines, everything else is good narrative, but it doesn't really bring any clear focus.
Agree to the point. So prepare to the future. And how much are you spending on innovation? Yes. Because that's extremely important. That how agile you are. Because if you don't innovate, I mean, you will perish.
Look at Apple's vision statement versus a Microsoft's. Don't want to take names, but that itself dwindles down into the core culture of how agile you are, how innovative you are, how much of your metrics are driven by new projects taken up, new initiatives, or incremental improvement on anything that you're doing. A very micro example here is I'm very fond of the previous company I work where they said it is important to take new initiatives, and that's baked into our metrics, our performance metrics, but not at the cost of being persistent in pursuing a long-term goal. But also, they look at how much of incremental improvement you're doing on existing processes, which again constantly keeps you agile because you're constantly trying to reinvent. Maybe
Kaizen, that's a word, no? Kaizen. Japanese term.
methodology.
They always have this.
Yeah.
So when my colleagues are talking about multiple areas, the principles of management, etc., I'll try to take a couple of examples very quickly. The organizations have to be prepared to take the shocks, and they should be so well prepared and determined to face that and counter it in a way, such a way, it only progresses further. I'll give you a very quick 2-3 examples. One is in Johnson & Johnson, way back, Chicago Tylenol example, which killed around 8 patients. They realized that immediately they changed the complete the drug authentication and the drug anti-counterfeit features they introduced, and their sales went. In fact, the customer belief they got back. Another example is the Nestlé Maggi. They had to incinerate more than hundreds of tons of Maggi noodles. People thought that this brand will not survive. Today, they've become tenfold. And a few years back, it's Cadbury's. When some worms were found in that, and everybody thought that Cadbury's is closed. In fact, they redesigned the packaging in such a way, they brought back the confidence within the customers. And today, it's history. Actually, they went far, far ahead. Today, Cadbury's is Mondelez company. So, all the 3 examples, I think the organizational determination to face the shocks and go forward. And you need to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Believe in yourself.
It's a kind of preparedness always.
First thing you have to believe yourself.
Always.
You can do.
I think in Bangalore, I have seen on the back of a vehicle, it is written, always accept the unacceptable.
Absolutely. Look at the pandemic also, how India survived.
Right.
Many people thought that India could never survive. Millions deaths will happen only in India. In fact, we proved the world wrong.
Now, a lot of companies may end up actually spending a lot of money in this area, but you have to be market ready. So that competitor analysis and what's exactly happening, not just in your area, your space, because like you said, like the 3% disruptor could actually become the next big $1 billion idea, can even take away a legacy company. So that market adaptability and how innovation is actually catering to that becomes important. So the vision to see that at least portion of the R&D is ensuring that the next $1 billion idea is within us. And of course, encouraging some of the Japanese tools like Kaizen, 5S, they definitely create a culture of innovation within the organization. So within the systems, if we are having or adapting these changes, right from the grassroots level, the worker to the manager, everybody is contributing towards a small process improvement, and also a lot of innovative ideas can come from that level. So it's about managing them and also rewarding them at the right time. That encourages the organization to be agile in terms of generating new products, accessing new markets, and also not just horizontally, but even vertically integrating, maybe getting into another process that could add value. So these are things for the company and the leaders to actually keep good vision or eye on.
So in my mind, Father Vincent, all my colleagues, it's a great conversation so far. But I think the jury is still out there in terms of, which are those companies which are really going to, face these next 2 years of the so-called tsunami, the AI tsunami that's going to hit us. And I think, we're still in the early stages of that. We don't know how these large companies are going to behave in terms of adopting them and what is going to hit them going forward. At least in the boardrooms we hear a lot of rumble and a noise in terms of how the whole dynamic around people is changing in terms of talent in these IT services companies and large companies. But in the past, there are, I think, a few examples. Google versus Microsoft in terms of cloud strategy. We know who the winner was, right? Sony versus Netflix in the, digital and, the entertainment world. We know who the winner was, right? So there are a lot of examples from the past. Or even we all read the IBM, the Elephants Can Dance, the book famously, which said, how IBM really evolved and as with an agile frameworks. But those are examples of the past. But for the future, I think, we're still waiting.
Yeah, it redefines. So I think we had a very productive, very, very engaging discussion. And if I just, summarize in 3 A's, maybe, it's about, in a way, how a company is agile. It's how they are prepared to avoid shocks. And again, as you said very rightly, it is also in accepting shock. And then finally, it is accelerating the real change in the direction that one needs. So there comes the core, the values, and so these triple A's would be in a way summarize what we have been deliberating or what we have been saying.